7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody. Are we properly broadcasting? Is there any Cylon interference? Hello. I think we have
Is anybody hearing an echo? That's what I really need to know.
All right. Can you hear me though? That's the question.
I can hear you.
Yes.
And it says it's broadcasting you.
All
It's
right,
nothing like going out untested on something new.
Okay.
You're now live.
All right. Greetings and welcome to our last episode of season 4. We've now completed 4 seasons, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is IFB Interfleet Broadcasting. I'm New York Pete. I'm here with my great friend, Chris the Tipsy Toaster. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to our news and pop culture sci-fi entertainment channel. Full disclosure, Tipsy and I, we grew up watching the great 70s and 80s TV, movies, comics, cartoons. We are big Battlestar Galactica fans, and because of that, we have created this show. We also love all of the new sci-fi and adjacent genres that are out there, and we love to cover them. On tonight's show, we have our creative executive producer, Dr. Chris McCauley, is in our quote green room. We have
Literally green.
Really, what?
Literally green.
It is green. It's green. But we also have a great guest tonight. Mr. Robert Picardo is coming on, and it's crazy. But in IFB style, we have doubles of everything. So we have 2 Chris's on, and we're going to have 2 Roberts on because we have another Robert. And I have my notes here just because, got to have some notes. And of course, it's I didn't get any coaching on his last name, but Robert Bonchune, I believe, and he is a master in his art of visual effects, and he's worked on, from Star Trek the Motion Picture, Lost in Space 2021, Terra Nova, Caprica, Battlestar Galactica 2006 to 2008, Galactica Razor, the regular Galactica miniseries, Star Trek Enterprise, Star Trek Voyager, Babylon 5, SeaQuest, amongst all of the other credits. He's got a whole bunch of other stuff, but he's going to be coming on, like I said. So we do 2 Roberts, right? 2 Roberts, 2 Chris's, 2 of everything. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. We really appreciate you being here. I noticed that we have a bunch of our regulars on. So let's see. We have Lola, Charlene, Professor Patton, thank you for joining us. Chuck Davenport, one of our main CG people working on the Stranded Warrior, and we're locking down the opening to the cut for the festivals, and everybody, you're going to be blown away by what we have in store for you. And congratulations to everybody that's worked on this from top to bottom, above the line, below the line. We have 3 wins. Our trailer has won 3 separate film festivals internationally. We are actually a part of 11 festivals worldwide. So the Battlestar Galactica, Classic Galactica World is out there, courtesy of the Stranded Warrior and all of the production companies that are involved in this, including our own Tipsy Toaster Productions and Fiat Lux as well. So we're doing things, guys. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for being here, Commander Kane. And I know that George Giacomo is out there. AJ Paul Singh is with us, a fellow student. Thank you so much for joining us. Janet Jenkins, thank you very, very much for joining us. There's an echo I've been informed that there is an echo. Chris, if you can.
There's an echo where? On you?
Echo, I believe on mine. There's an echo, I believe, on
There's
mine, guys.
nothing like doing this right out of the box.
Let's see. Robert Baum is on. Thank you for joining us. Bert Oliver Bomer. On Chris, there's an echo on you, Chris.
Oh, just on me?
The star of The Stranded Warrior and fellow producer, Mr. George Zuvalos, thank you for joining us live. Appreciate you being in the house with us. We have some really, really great guests coming on, including, of course, Doc McCauley, who's patiently waiting. He's got limited time frame, but he's going to come on and do a great giveaway.
Right.
He's got an exclusive giveaway. So
Can
that's
someone
cool.
just tell me if Pete is echoing?
Okay, so double the fun with the Roberts and Chris's tonight. That's right, Doc McCauley. And let's see. Susan, thank you for joining us. Are we echoing or not? Let's see. Bert Oliver Bomer, I think, award-winning sci-fi author Bert Oliver Bomer, thank you. Looking forward to LA Comic-Con, guys. I'll be there with Bert Oliver. Attending and seeing what that's all about. Not to mention New York Comic-Con is coming up, so we'll be doing New York Comic-Con as well. So those are two conventions. And okay, so there's an echo on Tipsy, so we're going to be working on Dr. McCauley in the house.
I am indeed. I am here. Yes.
Excellent.
Look, I'm merging from the darkness into some semi-form of light.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, then are you prepared for our traditional toast then?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
absolutely.
Now before you go anywhere where you go, because I know you have, it's like that final frontier thing that you guys do. We have to plug our coffee stuff, right? We have, right? This is the coffee that we are affiliated with, right? The Merlin's Munchies Coffee Company, and we are affiliated. And if you use that QR code, you'll be able to buy your own great flavored coffee that was being sold hand over fist, going bonkers at New York Comic-Con and other conventions. We're now affiliated, and whatever you get through that helps us here at IFB. So I am prepared with Merlin Munchie coffee, and I don't know what the Tipsy Toaster has, because he always has some kind of concoction that he does with his. And Dr. McCauley's got his own going on. Oh, what is that? What does it say? It says
white chocolate pumpkin spice.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very adventurous of you, Chris.
Oh yeah.
It should go really well with
yeah, get that into you. Absolutely. I was very impressed last week. And I think you're almost becoming Irish. Almost.
Almost.
Well, I have my coffee here as well. So
show me your kitties.
I'm not going to say the rest of that line because you all know it, and I could get into trouble for it.
Unbelievable, you. Unbelievable. Yes, release the Kraken is right. All right, so Tipsy?
I'm afraid I'm echoing too much. I don't want to. Okay. Am I still echoing, everybody? Somebody give me a thumbs up.
Let us know. Let us then toast to the fans and to the fandom, because, right, the fandoms are the ones that make everything happen. And we say here on IFB, fans fuel the fleet. Keep the faith, everybody. We all together are going to make a difference, and we do make a difference. So here's to the fans. Cheers.
Here's the fans.
All right, so somebody's echoing, and I think it's...
Yeah, it's me. I asked if I was still...
Yes, he is a Tipsy Toaster, Paul. Everybody had a great time, of course, at Dragon Con. Everybody's now back and settled. And this is the last episode for season 4. We've been on air, Doc, for 4 seasons.
It's incredible. It's incredible the work that you and Tipsy have been doing. And 4 seasons of promoting classic Battlestar, promoting good science fiction in whatever its form. Maybe next week we'll also be talking a little bit about A-Team and Knight Rider.
Why not?
We
Absolutely. Yeah, we've done it before.
That's Yeah, Knight Rider. I started watching that again. God, I love it. It's great. Oh, what's this? Oh,
I guess you didn't have this in Ireland.
we didn't have any of this. This is very psychedelic.
Yes, it is. So here in the States, there were bubblegum machines. You'd put in like a quarter and you would get one of these stickers. One of these stickers would come out. And this red thing here, this little placard was inside the machine. So this is what you would see. And then you would get randomly, you'd get one of these stickers.
Okay.
And I just got the set.
Oh.
I got the whole set.
Red, yellow, and orange, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I thought Merlin's Munchies had kicked in there. Thank God. We're all right. Not seeing things. But it's always interesting to see what you and Tipsy bring, right? The memorabilia. I learn a lot from this, you know.
Well, I'm going to divulge, because it's Tipsy Toaster's birthday tomorrow. Wishing him happy birthday today.
Happy birthday, mate.
And I got him a little bit of.
Oh my!
Yes. Now
that's
you'll notice
frame, isn't it?
That's right there. And unfortunately, you can't see vaguely see what that is.
I can see a little bit in there. Yeah, you can.
Looks like a Cylon.
It's a Cylon.
Yeah.
It's an actual Cylon.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Cool.
That's brilliant.
Yep.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. Thanks, Pete.
It's mounted. So happy birthday, Tipsy Toaster. I got you your very own Cylon from a piece of the film, a piece of the celluloid.
That's cool.
There it is. That's an actual piece
Hold on. It's Tipsy's birthday, so we should all sing happy birthday to him. Everybody should join into this.
Yes, we should.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Okay. Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tipsy Toaster. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Thank you.
Here's to you, Tipsy.
24 and a half.
Look. Michael Morlock says happy birthday. Janet, everybody. James McCoy, thanks for joining. Sends birthday wishes. Bert Oliver Boomer and AJ and Paul and everybody that's on basically. And everybody, including Mr. Zufalos, the star of the Stranded Warrior, is throwing jokes. Thank you very much. And yes, happy birthday, early, from John 1 as well. So all the best to you, Tipsy. Thank you for doing what you do. We really appreciate it. Doc, thank you for coming on to the show. We have some really, really cool guests that are waiting to come on. So one of them is coming straight from a production set. And, he was, hopefully he's not going to be held up in working, because he's working on a timely show. But we have, you guys all should be aware of course, our Schlock magazine and our exclusive. Thank you very much, Dr. McCauley, for helping put this together and getting it out there. Doc, we were discussing, you've put together an original classic Battlestar Galactica short, short fiction story, and it revolves around some of the famous characters. And we have worked out a private signing with Jack Stauffer, Lieutenant Bojay, and once he approves the short story you wrote, we will be giving that as a bonus to everybody that commits to acquiring one of Jack Stauffer's autographs. Will also get a PDF included of this original short story that Dr. Chris McCauley wrote specifically about Lieutenant Bojay. So we're waiting for Jack Stauffer to to actually approve that story. I've read it, and it's tremendous. It's a really, really great story.
Very much. Thank you, man.
Yeah, really, really well done.
I've totally fallen in love with classic Battlestar now. You know, I think
cool.
I'm on my second time watching through it, and I find there's an awful lot in there. There's a lot to unpack in it, and as a writer, the performances of the cast fire the imagination. I can let you into something that I'm working with a major star in Doctor Who. And I'm working with him at the minute on bringing a book about his character to fruition. But I find that whenever I watch because the characters really embody these roles. I mean, we're going to be talking to an actor later, but the actors are bringing about 60%, at least 60-70% to a role. You can write something, and you can have the broad strokes of the writing. But I love actors because they bring those nuances, and they really they're the ones that are drawing the audiences in. So whenever I write for an actor, it's just a wonderful experience.
And that's tremendous. That is tremendous, and we appreciate everything you're doing as as one of our producers here on IFB, as well as a fan now of classic Battlestar Galactica and the franchise in general. But you've dug in and you're entrenched now with us in the love of that classic TV series that has made this possible, right?
Well, I've become a Cylon now. I've become I'm totally a tipsy. I love the Cylons. I think they're great.
Cylons are amazing.
Count Ibley and the Cylons. And hey, look, Professor Padden was very kind enough to put another IFB story out that features. That features Count Ibley as well. There's another one that we came up with together. I don't know if you remember that one.
Oh yes.
How about checking now? Am I still echoing?
Yeah. So Professor Padden, thank you very much for fostering our fan fiction, and it's very much appreciated. And it's really good to see Paul here. It's good to see you, Paul. I just wanted to give special mention to you. It's nice to see you here. And everybody here who supports IFB continually and keeps the dream alive.
Absolutely. Well said, Doc. As a matter of fact, we had last time you were here, overnight we had like over 1,000 views. So it's we have X number that come on and watch with us here now. And what happens to our show in rerun or syndication or once it goes up after it's live is just phenomenal because things we've gotten 40,000 views. We've gotten all these crazy numbers of fans around the world that tune into IFB at their leisure when they can, which for the most part may not be right now, and that's okay.
Yeah,
we love it.
If everybody, if you've got family members that haven't seen IFB before, if you can get the word out in your office spaces, at your workplaces, please do. The more people we have, the more people who are watching, the more of a case that we have for bringing back classic Battlestar and for bringing back classic science fiction. It isn't, trust me, it's incredibly hard to get classic science fiction back on television. And when I say classic science fiction, I mean the science fiction that we all kind of grew up with, the 80s, 90s, 2000s form of science fiction. I am personally at the minute trying to do that with some things, and it's going okay. But I want to see that hopeful. I term it as a form of hope, the hopeful science fiction. I want to see that coming back. And you and Tipsy have done tremendous work. You've built this entire platform for these shows. You've built this for the fans. So at the end of this monumentous season 4, I'm sure that everybody watching and who will be watching will join me in thanking you and Tipsy for doing that. So yeah, well done.
Appreciate
guys.
that. Thank you very much. Yes. So our big show, the premiere of our next season is going to be on, of course, the 17th, and that we're going to open that up with a 3-hour marathon, and Eric Larson will be on, so Lorette Spang will be on, and we have a bunch of other guests that we are lining up for that new season. It'll be our first episode, and it'll be our season 5 that we're going into, and it's just great stuff. So it's incredible. It's incredible. So we are waiting, of course. We are waiting.
Yeah, John's
for
reaching out
guests,
right now.
Doc, to
Okay.
be I guess
Well,
materialize.
My wife's just sent me a message. She said 3 hours. I'll order the adult diapers. So I'm going to have to really pace myself with the beer. I don't know how Tipsy's going to do it. If he's on the rum, I don't know. He'd be, So we'll have to pace. We'll have to have lots of Merlin's Munchies coffee
that's right.
in between. Right,
Yes,
so
100%,
that's going to be important.
Caffeine does wonders when it comes to.
Oh yeah, caffeine. I live off caffeine in the mornings.
Yeah, no kidding.
I get up, I start writing, and it's the coffee. It's the coffee pot.
It's the way to do it.
It's the way to do it. Now, Merlin's Munchies coffee goes really, really well with marshmallows.
That's right.
So that's another AM, right? So there we go. There's Merlin himself. He's brewing the coffee. He's telling you to drink it. There are no guarantees of psychedelic effects, but it is a very enjoyable, rich roast experience.
And if you use this QR code, it helps IFB with our, costs of operational costs. So thank you for doing that. Sean Shallow from Battlestar Bulletin Board is with us. And man, Sean does a tremendous job of sharing those classic articles that are basically lost in time from Battlestar Galactica, the original stuff. And some of these you're hard pressed to ever find, the articles themselves. And I've read a few of those recently that he put up, and it just brought back a lot of memories. Just really cool stuff. Sean is an author as well of Battlestar Galactica, so he does fan fiction. So Sean, thank you so much. I need you to consider dropping in on our September 17th. Let me know if you can find some time to come in. We'd love to have you on our premiere show with, of course, Eric will be on, and Lorette Spang will be on, and it'd be really cool to have you. So please let us know if you're available. I would like to have you on. And, it's great stuff. I'll tell you something else, Doc. What you have, before I drop, I wanted to show another 1978 original memorabilia stuff that I picked up recently as a lot. It was bundled, but I want you to share some of your news. You have a lot.
I do. Actually, just now, Claudia Christian has sent me a little message.
Oh.
So Claudia and Bob Picardo are great friends. And,
interesting.
Yeah, so
Well, have her come on. Talk under the Zoom link.
She sent me on a mission tonight.
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
No, yeah. Anyway, sorry. News. Of course, news. Let me think. What news? Because I'm doing all this stuff. Right. Yes, I've signed a movie deal. It's a Hollywood movie deal for a screenplay writer, and I've written the production script. It's been accepted. I signed the. Sorry, Claudia, continue the message with me. I signed the contract this morning, and it's very exciting. This will be the first time. This is the first time that I've written something that has a budget of over, the Hollywood budget. I have to be careful what I say, as always. But yeah, it's a major Hollywood budget, so it's fantastic. I'm doing. Yesterday I had more Doctor Who stuff released. Doctor Who magazine. I had a couple articles in it. Terminator 7. You will see my name in the credits for Terminator 7.
Yes.
I can confirm that. So that this will be the sixth
There we go, Robert.
Terminator thing that I've done.
Wow.
Including all the games and things like that there. So that's been fun. And I see we have our guest ready.
Yes,
so
yes.
So I'm going to shut up now.
Gotta give me a minute. Just keep talking.
Hi, Robert. How you doing, mate? You doing all right?
Keep me talking. Hang on.
I'm all the better for seeing you. You have worked.
The camera was so much nicer on the other one.
Well, you have worked.
We need to get you. Let's see if the Tipsy Toaster in the director's chair, if he's got you up. I think we'd like
Working on it.
Bring you up on. We've already kind of talked you up a little bit, Rob.
Yeah.
You've worked on a lot of stuff, a lot of the things that we hold near and dear on this show. You've worked on, and we want to know a little bit more of what it's like on your end. And I think, Tipsy Toaster, if you are able to push the right buttons and get us into that.
Nothing like going and trying a new thing out first thing and not test it.
We can then
almost so much fun.
Hit it off with our guest. I would love to
give me 1 second.
Just get all up in this, because I have an IMDb Pro web page open so that I can go right to some of these fantastic movies, shows, and the rest that I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's all the greatest stuff that I have ever watched, or that like in terms of our fandoms and the genre of science fiction. This is like our thing. So I just want to.
And Robert's work was actually instrumental in bringing my wife and I together.
What?
Oh, there's a wee story. There's a little story. Sequest DSV.
I like a wee story.
Like a wee story. There we go.
There we go.
I'll tell you a wee story.
It's not Scottish.
I'll tell you a wee story. Yeah, so Sequest DSV. My wife, big fan of Sequest DSV, and when we were dating across the water, so my wife's Canadian. I'm Irish, as you can probably tell.
No.
And we started watching Sequest DSV together because that was the connection that we had. And then we started, we did these date nights. And then I loved that show. That was like one of the biggest shows of my childhood. I had the video game and everything. But anyway, that was how my wife and I started connecting and chatting about Sequest. And so there you go, Robert. There's a little story about how some of your work has directly affected me.
Well, minor amount of work though, because I only worked on the screen displays. I didn't work on any of the CG, like the 3D Sequest.
Yes.
I was there was two of us that worked on doing all the screen displays for the sub. Like whatever they're looking at, like whatever they were, the information displays. Like armaments and all that stuff. That's what we had to do. We had to work on the production schedule.
That's cool.
It's still cool.
That's
still cool. Absolutely. Rob,
that was my first job. That was my first job in 3D or computer graphics. If you
really?
Graphics. Okay. Rob, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us here on Interfleet Broadcasting. You've been in the business for many, many, many years. I would like to just bring up one of my favorite Star Trek movies. It's not exactly one that everybody goes to per se, but Star Trek the Motion Picture, you were a digital modeler. I remember going to the movies to see it, and my mind was blown away with the cinematography. At least the way we saw it on that big screen was incredible, and you were involved. And can you just give us a little bit of what that was like to get into something like that?
Are you talking about? You're not talking about 1979, right?
Yes, I am. Absolutely, I am. Yes.
Well, I wasn't involved in 1979.
Well, you have a credit for digital modeling of the director's edition.
Yeah, the director's edition in 2000. Yeah, right.
So, what was it like to actually work on something from what it was from 79, and then in 2001? How did that? Right, I remember seeing it in the movie theater, and it was like, holy mackerel! And then you actually got involved with the 2001 version. How does that work? What's the dynamic between that one and the other?
I'm not sure what the dynamic was, but essentially, I mean, I was working for Foundation Imaging. We were doing Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and one of the co-supervisors, Mojo, or Adam Mojo Leibowitz, but everyone calls him Mojo. Anyway, he was friends with Darren Doctorman and who's it? David? Shoot, I can't remember the other guy's name. The two producers that basically did the special edition, like the director's edition, if you will. And because Mojo was friends with Darren, they approached Foundation Imaging to basically amplify any effects that Mr. Robert Wise didn't get to do in 1979, because apparently they had a contract with Paramount. He had a contract in his contract written to Paramount was that the film that would be shown on screen would be the film that he approved of. You know what I mean? Like the movie that he would sign off on. And that was not the movie that was shown in 79. He was upset about certain things, and well, maybe I shouldn't put words in his mouth, but he wasn't happy with certain effects and certain things that just didn't happen. So using that clause, he was able to get Paramount to acquiesce to paying for the money to actually complete the effects as intended by Robert Wise. So we got to do that. Like me and a whole bunch of other guys got to do that, which was a hell of a lot of fun, because we got all the, they brought, to my surprise, Paramount sent us all the filming miniatures. Like, so it's the first time I ever got to see like the Enterprise, like the actual filming miniature, even though ILM had scuffed, painted over it quite a bit, but still it was the original models, and even though the Katinga was the Star Trek 6 version, it's still that model, it's a modification of that model. It was still cool to have all that stuff up there. I mean, I've got pictures on my Instagram, and I think even on my ArtStation site, of us like looking at it and opening it up, and there's a few. Anyway,
that's incredible. That's
like,
really,
it was
really
like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, I never could have imagined, like, I never, when I went to LA to work, to try to get into model work, practical model work, mind you. I have no interest in computer stuff at the time. Like, I've been a Star Trek fan since I was a little kid, and I never intended, like, it was not my intention. I never in my head thought, oh, I could work on those shows, like, it was just like, I just want to get this job, I just want to get a job. And just by the people that I knew and the connections that I started to make by working with different people, all of a sudden it just worked out that way, that all of a sudden I ended up being on these shows, just like Babylon 5, just like, I was like, I don't know why it happened, but all I can say is I never unpurposely tried to get on those shows. It's just what came into the companies I happened to work for. So it's just like amazing to me. Like, I still kind of can't believe it in some ways. It's kind of like, really? I'm here. I'm actually working on it. Like, this is incredible. Like, this is the Enterprise in front. Like I'm remembering me in 1979 standing in line in Montreal at the local, well, not the local theater, but at one theater nearby, waiting in line in the winter. It was cold. It was close to Christmas, and I think my mom had to come with me or something. Anyway, she's the only one that could take me there, and I was freezing my ass off, and I still remember watching it. And no way could I ever have imagined working in that, because that was like Hollywood and LA was like, that didn't exist. I mean, you watch TV, and these are all people that live somewhere else. This is a whole other life, and it's not even my country to begin. I mean, although Canada's kind of close, but still, I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that, oh, someone from here could actually move there and work on shows like that. Like, it never, I can't express enough how much I am amazed that was possible.
That's really cool.
Just took one decision that I made, one of those I'm not usually an aggressive person, but that was one of those rare times in my life where I just did something like crazy that I usually wouldn't do because I've always been a play it safe kind of guy. I just said, screw it. I'm just putting everything in my car and I'm driving to LA. I've got money for 3 months. And if I don't find any work, I'll just come back and no loss. You know, I didn't have a girlfriend. I had a job, but I didn't like it. So I was like, I got nothing to lose.
Wow. And you actually got to work on other Star Trek series too. Enterprise, Voyager, right? You've done some of the others too.
Voyager, DS9 and Enterprise. Voyager and DS9 the most. Like,
okay.
Well, especially Enterprise. I mean, you know, because I was on there as a suit from day one. Like Voyager, when I started, I was just an animator. I wasn't a supervisor. I was just one of the team.
Wow.
And then I got promoted during that as one of the co-supervisors, and at least for Foundation Imaging. There was also another company that did work. So it was like, you know, like 3 different. Well, there was 2 CG houses, if you will.
That's incredible. And let's quickly just kind of jump around a little bit. You also
I didn't even see you were scanning through.
Yeah, we got.
I was like looking at you because you're on the left side of my screen. That's on the right side of my screen.
Yeah, we got some of the imagery from some of the episodes and some of the work that you've been doing and right.
Yeah, that's a lot of the freelance work, like the
that's so cool
artwork that I've been doing.
That's incredible work.
At least right now. Well, the calendar is over on the right there. The Enterprise and the Enterprise D in that dry dock. That was for the first Ships of the Line calendar.
Yeah. I remember that. Oh, that's cool. And you've also, I mean, you've done some really cool stuff in other franchises as well. And I can see that behind you, you have models of the classic Battlestar Galactica base star and a Battlestar.
Heck yeah.
Right back there. And
Battlestar Galactica and yeah.
And you credited.
Well, I'm a model builder. I mean, that's how anyway.
And those are great models. I have both of them as well. I remember getting them when I was a kid. But you've worked on.
Well, these are the Battlestar is the Moebius one, so it's much more accurate.
Ooh, that's
not the Revell one. The monogram one was, not very good. Even back then, even when I bought it in '78, like it was like or '79 or whenever it came out, because it was one of the last ones to come out. Yeah, and just like that Battlestar is the Revell reissue with the accurized parts, because the top wasn't quite right and some of the anyway.
Very cool. Oh yeah.
You want me to nerd out on model kits because that could be a whole other.
That's what we're all about. That's what we're all about. But you've actually been involved with the re-envisioned the 2004 Battlestar Galactica, and you've also were involved with Razor and some of the other
Caprica.
Yeah, that was all part of I came on board on season 2, so from the start, season 2 till the end.
Wow.
And Caprica and Razor. So anything that was done between season 2 and the end of Caprica, including Razor, obviously that was done in that time. So all that stuff,
What was that like?
That team.
To walk us, tell us. I mean, I know you've said you're a fan. So you weigh, what you explain to us comes from, you inside as a fan is different than people that are just pros in certain worlds, whatever they may be, whether you're an actor, professional, whatever. You come on, you do a job, you're not a fan, and it shows, but you're a fan. So what tell me.
I didn't work with anybody like that until 2012, really. I mean, I started my career in 96 and I never worked on a show where nobody gave a shit until 2012.
Wow. Well, that's good. That's a good thing then.
Yeah.
Now I'm just dying to know what happened in 2012.
Yeah, pretty much. There were a few people, I guess, on the BSG, on the Battlestar Galactica team at Universal that were not necessarily hardcore fans, but they weren't also but they were into it, they still professionally cared enough, and most of us were fans. Most of us grew up watching the original Battlestar. So, it was a favorite show when I was a kid. I mean, it was a big deal. The model kits as soon as they came out, it was like, again, that was another show. It was like, I can't believe I'm working on this now, and it's, when I first heard about it, I didn't have high hopes for it because I thought, oh no, they're going to they changed Starbuck into a girl and all that. And I was just, so before the show came out, I was just like, oh no, it's going to be another, well, there's no DEI back then, but one of those, like, let's swap everybody and make it, luckily that's not what happened. Luckily, as soon as you started watching, I remember I reluctantly sat down to watch like that premiere miniseries.
Yeah.
And I remember going, oh, it's like, all right, I'm going to watch it, and I'm expecting it to be bad and to be insulting or whatever. But, after about a half an hour, 40 minutes, after about 40 minutes, I was like, okay, I think I'm in, and then by the end of it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. This is a well-written show. This is awesome. I mean, it was friggin' cool.
It was different,
then,
but it was cool. Yeah, it has really a lot of cool elements. Absolutely.
I mean, the style, the handheld cam, the ships flying around. I mean, everything we couldn't do on Star Trek, which was kind of a reason why some of the things were as wild as they were. Because Gary Hutzel, the overall supervisor for the effects for BSG, was also supervisor on DS9. And I'd worked with him previously, like not much, because he only wanted to work with practical models. And it always, my memory of it, okay, so alleged memory of it or whatever, because I don't want to be quoted like that's what he said. Like, this is my memory, that Gary, as soon as they got the chance to do a show where the producers were, Ron Moore is really cool. That's a whole other story. But Ron Moore is like the coolest producer I've ever worked with. Like, I mean, first of all, the fact that you can even talk to the producer, that he would actually sit with you at your desk. I mean, that's just something I've never encountered before or after. And anyway, Gary was just like, he was tired of the whole tabletop thing. Everything in Star Trek is always, everything's on like a tabletop. You're never allowed to break the 3 dimensions, or if you are, it's very rare, like they'll let you do it a little bit. They always want to rein you in and, keep everything as, ships meet like this and, nice slow pans, or whatever. So this show was done exactly the opposite, like shaky cams all over the place. The camera doesn't necessarily focus on anything in one shot, but you get the idea. I mean, not all the time, but still, it was very different. It had that frenetic feel of actual battle. Like, I mean, it was just well choreographed and well done. And that just blew me away. Like in the first miniseries and then the first season, I knew the people that were working on it because they're working at Zoic, and a lot of the guys that used to work at Foundation were working at Zoic. So I mean, I would talk to those guys, and they're like, "Oh, this is so much fun to work on." And then Zoic unfortunately lost it because Universal brought it in house, and so the people that were working at Zoic, I mean, nobody was going to leave their company because there's other projects that they had. So I mean, maybe some of them could have, but none of them did. So they had to put together a new team on the Universal lot to do the effects.
So, Robert, what explain to the general listener, fan, observer that's tuning in, what was your specific role if you pick any one of the series, and let us know what it's like to be actively involved. When you were doing your stuff, you mentioned Ron Moore, but do you ever get on set? Do you ever interact with the actors? What is that your role? What is it that you do?
Well, for Star Trek, I was one of the VFX supervisors. Paramount had their VFX supervisors that would oversee like the vendors, and I guess we were a vendor, but in-house I was a supervisor, like a CG supervisor, if you will, for whatever show that I got, whatever episode I got, every other episode pretty much. So, and then I had a team, depending on how big the episode was, but we had a core team and everyone loved. Anyway, so I'm going to digress. I'm going to try to bring it back to your question. So for Star Trek, I was a supervisor. I was CG supervisor for the last 3 seasons of Voyager and for all of Enterprise. like not the only supervisor. There's always two minimum, sometimes three or four, depending on how much work had to be done, as they're scheduling episodes. Now, in terms of going to set, I went to set all the time.
Oh,
and that's why I was had to delegate stuff out, because I'd go to set, if they were doing a bizarre effect, or they'd be like, how should we shoot this? Or, even though they kind of knew how to shoot it, but still, any excuse to go to set, why not? So I went to set often. I mean, I talked with the actors and stayed up late with the actors a few times. And some of the shooting schedules would go... Well, specifically what I'm remembering is Voyager... Was it Endgame? Was it Unimatrix? It was... Well, there was 2 episodes in Voyager that had the Borg Queen.
okay.
And it was one of those. It might have been... I think it was Endgame. And so I went to set because they were filming. It must have been Endgame, because that's when they brought back Alicia. Oh, I can't shoot. The girl, the actress who had done the Borg for the film for First Contact. She came back to do her role as the Borg Queen for Endgame, because because they had done an episode earlier, a season or 2 earlier, that involved the Borg Queen, but that was a different actress. And for Endgame, they brought back the actual actress that did the Borg Queen for First Contact. I talked to her a lot, actually. She was really nice, but it went really late. Like I went, I'd go over there, and there wasn't really much for me to do after going. Yeah, okay, that the green screens, everything seems to work. We'll be able to work with what's set up, and after that, it's kind of like just hang out and wait until like 5 a.m, and I gave up. I was just like, okay, I'm going home. That's it. It's like, I can't take it. But in the meantime, you're just sitting there, and then, the actors do their stuff, and they come back and they sit in their seats. And I was accidentally sitting in Kate Mulgrew's seat. I didn't know that. I was sitting in her chair. It had her name on the back, but I didn't realize that. I didn't notice that there was names on the back of the chairs. I was just sitting there, like, half falling asleep. And then she comes back, and she goes, "You're sitting in my chair." And I was like, "Whoops, sorry about that." So I moved over to another chair.
Oh boy!
This is like 3 a.m. Everybody was... I'm sure they were tired. Everyone was tired. I mean, she wasn't like mean or anything, but she's like, "You're sitting in my chair." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry. Move to the next chair." But I ended up talking to... tip of my tongue, I have the name of the actress. I ended up talking to her quite a bit on that shoot. But anyway, just to say that, yes, I was on set quite a bit. I mean, especially on Enterprise. I mean, from like virtually day one, I had great conversation with Scott Bakula, and
wow,
one day
cool.
To the point, well, not to the point, but I mean, one day I'm jumping all over the place because there's just so many stories. But one cute moment was my parents came to visit me at the time, and so like 2002 or something like that. And I got them onto Paramount, and they were I can't remember. They were shooting a scene on the bridge of the NX-01. Anyway, and my parents happened to be there, because actually my supervisor for Paramount, Mitch Susskind, who's a great guy, which I loved. He was like the guy I worked with on all Star Treks. Like it was me and him, and he was like the supervisor for Paramount, and like just like Ron Moore, not the writer, but the other supervisor, like Gary Hutzel was another supervisor. Those were Paramount supervisors, and they would work with the different vendor outlets, like Image G initially, with the motion control, and then with the CG outfits like us. So I know I'm saying all that, but all that to say that Mitch was really good at he loved that my parents were there, and he gave them like this personal tour. Like while I was working, he would just take them all over Paramount, and he would tell them all these stories, and they were just like, "Oh my God, this is awesome." And then they finally come back to where like they just finished filming a scene on the bridge, and Trip Connor, like, is that his real name or is that his character's name? I can't remember. It was like Trip Connor, whoever played, or that wasn't his name, was it? Or was it? I can't remember anyway.
Well, speaking of names, Susanna Thompson.
I just got to say that just because it was so cute, because he's walking off the set, and he looks at my mom's happens to be looking at him, because like good-looking guy, I guess, and and he gave her this big smile and said hi and walked by her, and my mom looked like a 12-year-old teenage girl at that moment. I've never seen my mother look like that. She was just like, oh my God, he said hi to me, you know? And I was just like, holy crap, like I've never seen my mom like that. It's the only time in my whole life that I've ever seen her react like that. Like it made her millennium, you know? Just
that is so cool.
handsome guy, just, and you know, I'm sure to him it was like no memory of that 2 seconds after he said it, you know? I'm sure he's saying that to everybody, you know, but my mom was like the world to her.
Trip
I
was
just thought
the
that was
engineer.
Cool. Everybody on the set, like all the actors were really nice. Like my experience, everybody.
That's cool. That's cool.
Everybody was cool, and
so Trip was the engineer, but one of our fans said that Susanna Thompson may have been the actress that you were talking about earlier about the
Board Queen. No,
yeah.
It's not her name.
No, I know.
However,
she might have been the one. What?
That got replaced, or yeah.
That might have been the replacement, but that's not because
Alice Creech.
Oh, Alice Creech. That's
there
it.
We go.
That's the one that I met.
Thanks,
Doc. And that's the one that I talked to for most of the evening. I can't recall all the conversation, but she was just really chatty with me. Like we just chatted for most of the time that we were there. And she was all in Borg outfit, and it's so funny because she couldn't move her head, you know, with all the thing, you know, she's in full makeup, right? She's full Borg makeup. So she can't really turn her head. Like there's tubes coming up. If she turns her head too much, they'll pop out, you know, like they're not going to stay glued to her skin. So it was really funny as she talked to me. Every time she'd move or kind of turn, like, you know, in a straitjacket, you know. But she was cool. She was really nice. She was fun to talk to, and we had a great conversation. It was just weird sometimes. I'd be looking at her and be like, I'm talking to the Borg Queen. She's really nice.
Rob, we have a question from Chris Marshall, who dabbles in the world of CG with indie films, working with us on a fan film that we're doing. And
wait, is this the Chris Marshall that worked at University?
No.
Wow, because we worked with it. Anyway, okay.
See, on our show, Rob, if we don't have 2 or 3, names at the same time, it's not going to work right. So our fans have, we kind of like herd the cats with names, first names, multiple Chris's, multiple Robs, multiple. That's just, it's so random. But Chris wants to know, what is your favorite BSG ship or render that you have done?
BSG. Well, I'll go Freudian. I'll go with the first ship that popped into my head.
Okay.
The first ship that popped in my head was the Mark III Viper.
Oh, there you go, Chris Marshall. There's your answer.
This is the one that was designed by a fellow, strangely enough, another fellow Quebecer, Canadian, but also French-Canadian, Pierre Drolet, who was this awesome model builder. And he designed that Viper. Ended up being used in Blood and Chrome. I never worked on Blood and Chrome or anything like that, but it ended up being one of the main Vipers for that. So I did my own version of it for the client. I have this guy in the U.S. that's paying me to do all these cool images, which is fun. And although Pierre did this more of like a regal, I don't know about a regal, but like he had like the red striping, but it was almost looked like to me it felt more like a prototype, or like an official marking or whatever, and I kind of wanted to bring it back as close to the original Vipers from 73. So I did 2 versions of it. I did his version untouched, and then I did my version where I remapped certain things and I redid the stripes and gave them gave the reds the red stripes like the classic 78 Viper look to it. Because of all that were done, even though that only showed up in one, that Viper only showed up in one miniseries, at the very end, like even when the show was over, it is to me, it's the closest, new BSG Viper to the original Viper in terms of sort of overall feel and sort of holds a bit of both, I guess. I just think it's cool. I just like that ship. Not because my friend did it, just because I like that Viper. And I've heard other people say that too, that they prefer that one, not prefer, but that they like that one a lot. That it's, it has the feel of the 78 Viper, because it's got some heft to it. The other ones seem very small or very light. Actually, I kind of like them all, to be honest, but that's the one I like the most. But I kind of like, there's other ships in the fleet that I like too that are more obscure. Like, I like Colonial One. It's a very cool, neat design, I think. It's a close second. And I like the Pegasus, and I have a model of the Pegasus. Well, you probably can't see it, but it's like, see that desk right? It's on top of that. So.
Excellent.
And I didn't build the Galactic. It's funny, I like the Galactic. I guess the Galactic is okay.
The new or the old?
No, the old one is, I love, of course. The model, right, like you said, right over my shoulder, there's the original. I love it. But the new one, well, working on the show and all that stuff, I liked it fine. I thought it was pretty cool. I had no issues with it. It's only when I got the Moebius model kit, it was such a piece of shit model. Like, that's the worst model kit they came out with. It's super tiny, just doesn't have any weight to it. So I'm not thrilled with the model kit. So I guess that's why at this point I don't have a model of that version of it, because I don't like the model kit. It's not that I don't like that Galactica. It's just that I don't like the model kit. It's way too small.
Got a follow up and then a question for you. Again,
and of course, all the original ships, but all the Ragtag Fleet originals, like the mineral ship and the mining ship, or the guitar one, the one that looks like, anyway. The film cans. Sorry, the film cans. The one that was built out of film cans. The 3 film cans.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. It's called the mining ship, to us anyway, and.
That's all cool stuff. So real quick, Chris wanted to say your latest renders and orthographics that you've published in the last year are a great gift to us PSG fans. And then from Chuck Davenport, he says, missiles.
Oh, that was interesting.
No, I didn't know what it is. I never watched Blood and Chrome. I tried. I tried to watch Blood and Chrome, and there's something about the way it was done, the way it was shot, that it didn't feel professional. I'm probably going to get hated for that, but I just did not like the way it was shot. I'm talking about the live action. I'm not talking about the effects. I'm just saying I could not get through the live action. I tried to watch it, and I just can't watch it. There's just something doesn't feel right about the way it's filmed. The live action integration to the backgrounds, it feels very, it's just my personal opinion. I'm sure a lot of people love it, and my personal opinion just feels very like fanfic, as opposed to the show that we worked on, or even Razor, which had a very professional cinematography. The cinematography on Blood and Chrome felt like just not professional. Could have been a choice,
There's a little disjointedness with it, so it's like,
it was also very the scenes would cobble together disjointedly, and I just couldn't get past the first 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm out.
Oh wow!
I was just like after 20 minutes in the acting, I don't know. It felt. I couldn't sit through it. It's just my personal take, nothing to do with the effects or anything like that, because those were still really good. If anything, even more advanced in some areas. But I couldn't get past the live action. I couldn't stand. It's rare that I can't sit through something, and I couldn't sit through that. It's like I couldn't do it. It's just
Rob, do you do
so I didn't know there was air. I didn't know there must. I guess I know where that comes from, because I think those Vipers are fighting in the atmosphere with the Cylon Raiders when they're hitting the colony, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's air-to-air missile. I imagine there's I even know where the ports are. Okay, right, that makes sense. So what was the question again?
The question was who decided that the Mark III
Mm.
has air-to-air missiles? Like how would somebody come up with that? Who's the one that it's got to run by, I guess?
Well, my guess would be that Gary Hutzel would have been the one. Gary Hutzel or Doug Drexler probably would have decided that. That's my guess, because I didn't work on that. That was crewed by a completely different set of people. So other than Doug and Gary, who had done the previous stuff, they were like the suit. Like Gary was like the overall supervisor, and then Doug was like the day-to-day supervisor. I'm not sure how to title that, but anyway, it would have been one of them. My guess is that decided that, or it could have been someone on the team that suggested it. Because Pierre had already built the ship. I don't think he worked on Blood and Chrome, but the ship already existed, so they would have taken it into their inventory and used it for Blood and Chrome. So I'm not sure if it even Pierre. Ron, I never really saw David Icke much, but Ron Moore would come and walk through, and he would sit down with you, and it's like if you had ideas for the show, he would actually put it into the show. The writers were really flexible. I've never experienced that before, ever. Like honestly, like Razor would not have been the show that you guys saw with with original base stars and that scene with the Cylons where they talk, the original Centurions in the cockpit when they actually talk with the original voice, never would have happened if not for Mojo.
Wow.
He was singularly would talk to the writers and then talk to Ron Moore, and Ron Moore's like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. I'll make everybody happy. That's cool. I've never encountered a producer like that where you can input stuff and he's like, that's cool. Let's do it. Like, that's how cool he was. That's how down to earth he was. He's like I was just shocked by him. Like, he's just him, and even not just him, but the writers too, because obviously there's a writing team. And they would always go to the Universal Cafeteria, and Mojo would always eat with them, to see what he could influence, because he's a diehard fan, and he would see what he could get in there. But for Razor, he got in the most. Like there never would have been Cylons in it. There will probably never been an original base star if not for Mojo. I mean, none of that.
Wow. Rob, do you do any conventions, man? Do you go out and do you get invited? Do you go do them?
I did. I used to back when I was living in LA, but since I've lived in Montreal, I've gone to one only, I think. And that was in Denver, I think in 2014 or something like that.
And is there any chance that you would actually, write a memoir or, write some of, what it was like or what it is like? Is that something that you would consider doing in the future?
I'm not a writer. I wish Mojo's the other suit's a writer, but I'm not a writer. It's not that I don't want to, but I'm more of a talker. Like, if I could find somebody to take what I say and write it down, I could do that. But by myself to sit down, because what ends up happening is if I start writing, I'll start like when I talk, I'll start digressing into stories, and then I'll get exhausted, and then I just don't want to do it anymore. Because I've gone too deep into like one little, because everything reminds me of something else, which reminds me of something else, and I just don't have that kind of staying power for, to write a book. I mean, to write a novel or anything like that. It's like, and I'm not famous enough like William Shatner. I can't get someone to write the book for me, I just tell them what to do. I don't have that kind of money. So, because that would be the best if I could, if I could work with an actual writer and just tell them the stories and they could put it together and then we could go over it. That'd be great.
Well, there's interest in all of these stories and all this background that you have. Do you have any conventions or any appearances set for the near future?
No, I haven't been invited to anything since that convention in 2014.
What's on your plate?
I was in LA. I was invited to stuff to talk and things like that, especially Mojo and I, and one time me on my own. But But usually most people want to see the actors. I mean, I'm just one, if you look at the list of crowd, I'm just one of who, if someone has never met me or knows me, why would they pick me over?
We love here on you have a home here, Rob. We love to hear these stories. We love to hear not only, above the line, below the line. We like to hear it all. This stuff that you're giving us is just awesome. We love this. And if you find the time in the future, we would love you, come back and spend a little more time with us and get into some more of these stories. And we love all this stuff. All this stuff that you're sharing with us is what our particular fandom really, really enjoys, right? Getting into it with somebody that's there and sharing, your parents coming onto the set, which is, man, that's what our imagination goes to. Like, what if I was working there and, your family came up and, all of that cool stuff, man. That's what we
luckily
want.
they treated my parents well. But anyway, that's another story. But you're right. I mean, there are a million stories. Like, there's even more BSG stories. There's more, and certainly a lot of Star Trek stories, and even surface, even totally out of left field. When I worked for Eden Effects, they did the effects for some of the effects for the first Hellboy movie. And Del Toro came to our place, and he was a really funny guy. Like, just even these weird stories where it's not even related to specifically what I'm working on, just the things that happen. It's just always
love it. We love
LA
all
was
this
never
stuff.
boring.
Robert, as a writer, I can tell you it's guys like you, it's your work that brings the visions to life. I write something on a piece of paper, and but it's the visions that you guys bring. You bring everything to life. So I'm personally in awe of the work that you do and others like you do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time out.
We're just doing what we do, I mean, it's a whole team that brings it to life. It's not,
right.
It's everybody. Obviously, can't do it without the writers and the producers and everybody else, But it's just fun to get to work on these things. And BSD was especially fun because it's the only show that I've worked on where the showrunner comes in and sits down and talks to you guys, and if you have a good idea, I'll put it in the show. I've never been on a show where that happens before.
Wow.
That's why I have tremendous respect for Ron Moore. That's why I love For All Mankind. If I could work with him again, I would, because he's just he gets it. He gets science fiction. He has respect for IPs, unlike a lot of people that don't. He respects IPs. You know what I mean? He actually wants to do a good job for whatever thing he's working on.
That's cool.
So far that I've seen.
That is cool. Rob, thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
again,
thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun.
We'd love to have you back.
Sure.
We'll
You've got
reach
so
out
many
to you,
stories we want to hear.
Definitely love to just, same thing. You come back on and we'll just talk it out, and we'll, drop shows and movies and things that you've done and love to hear your things. So here's to you and your work. Thank you for taking the time out. So cheers.
Thank you very much, Robert. Cheers, mate. And we'll be looking forward to bringing you back, and maybe we'll get a few Babylon 5 Babylon 5 questions in there. Sancha.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you very, very much. Man, that was so cool.
I appreciate it.
Oh my God, we got all those stories from all our favorite shows, man.
It's brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So Doc Chris McCauley, I want to also thank you for taking the time out. You have a busy schedule. I know that you're meeting with the VIPs. You got things going on, whether it be a publisher or some Hollywood type. However, we have another guest that has taken some time out to come and visit us. None other than Robert Picardo. And I believe that he is in the green room waiting, and it's a privilege to have him here on IFB Interfleet Broadcasting. And we want to have him.
My wife's his biggest fan. She was so excited. Well, I love Robert because of his wonderful voice. And his opera is actually why one of the reasons that I love him. So I'm very excited. So let's bring him on.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Tipsy Toaster, can you make that happen? Can we bring on none other than the Doc himself?
There he is.
Oh, there he is, and voila.
Thank you for that kind introduction. I haven't met your wife, but I'm delighted to hear she loves me. I mean, I'm not going to come between the two of you. First of all, I want to say that right out of the gate.
That's good.
And I'm happy that you enjoy my singing as well. So thank you so much for the warm intro. I just came from the set. I've been home in my hotel room here just a few minutes. I was shooting my third day on Star Trek Starfleet Academy, and I'm afraid that's all I can say.
Well, I actually have one. We have a mutual friend who passes on her love to you, Claudia Christian.
Oh yes,
she has passed on. So she was like, "Make sure you tell Bob, pass on my love." So there you go. Well, you're a very, very loved man.
That's very kind. She's an extraordinary person, Claudia, and I haven't seen her a while. I don't live in LA anymore, but I miss her, and please give her my warmest wishes.
I will. Thank you, Bob.
Well, we know from the magic of the internet that the Star Trek Starfleet Academy began shooting not too long ago, and so there's all kinds of websites and things that are out there, and you are fully ensconced in the upcoming show, and we are dying to see this. We're all Star Trek fans and fans of yours. It's so cool that you're taking the time out, and you have a tangential link to one of our favorite shows, which is Battlestar Galactica, and we have a promotion that we'd like to do with the assistance of Dr. Chris McCauley. We have a little bit of trivia based on one of the characters that you portrayed. So if we could get Dr. McCauley back on, let's see if our technical director, the Tipsy Toaster, can make that magic happen. We're going to, there we go. So Dr. McCauley, can you bring up that piece of trivia and the promotion that we're going to do here on IFB with the help of...
Oh, yeah.
Do you think we can do that? We can come up with that?
Yeah, the latest Warhammer 40k game that's out, Space Marine 2, we are very lucky and privileged to have a PlayStation 5 code for those of you who reside in North America. And as you know, our good holographic doctor here, Robert Picardo, the one and only, has been in many different productions, including Total Recall, which is one of my favorites. But he was also in Smallville, and he played a particular character in Smallville. So can you tell us who his wife was portrayed by in Smallville?
That's for the fans.
And a wife in Smallville?
Yes, and the
yes, I did.
Yes, and it
yes.
Let's see if the fans
we're not
can get
mistaken, I mean, it's a deep cut. It's a deep cut. However, your character, from what I understand, never actually directly interacted. However, your wife is someone that has some very, very deep roots in a classic show. So for the first person that from our fans here watching live that can come up with the answer, we'll be getting the code, the advanced code to the Warhammer Space Marine 2, courtesy of Dr. McCauley. Thank you from one doctor to another doctor. So that's kind of cool. And we're making these weird linkages tonight. But I mean, Bob, what's it like working on Star Trek again? Can you
I
talk
can
about it?
only speak in general terms,
Yes, of
obviously,
course, yes.
but uh, it really, I had a long time to think about how it would feel coming back because this secret was shared with me quite some time in advance. And then there was an actor strike and a writer strike, so there was a long period where there was no communication, but this seed of had been planted in the back of my head about the possibility of my character coming back. It's already been said, I think, in the media that because this is basically in Discovery's time frame, even slightly ahead of it, that my character is has been activated for a long time. So he is it is the character I played before, but with hundreds of years of additional experience.
Yes, that's basically what's out there. Correct. Yep.
Accrued wisdom. And I have, first of all, I am awed by the company I'm in. You've also read in the press that Holly Hunter is our lead. I've been an admirer of her since I saw her in a play in the early 80s, a Beth Henley play, before she was a movie star, called the Miss Firecracker Contest. I think she played a local beauty queen in a little tiny town somewhere. It was just a funny and touching play. So I've been a fan of hers for years. And of course, Paul Giamatti is our first season villain, and he is also a talent that I have huge respect for. And then there's this, group of incredibly talented young actors, any three of which add up to my age. It really is fun to not only be back in the world of Star Trek, but to be a very different world cast further in the future. And so that there's not only new technologies within our world, our imaginary futuristic world, but there are new technologies that exist in the shooting, like the virtual reality, augmented VR stage, and all that stuff that will be very different from the traditional green screen composition that we did back in my day. So I'm going to learn a lot. I'm in a great company of actors, and I'm really pleased with the writing that they have done, not just for me, but for that I've read for our first season. So I would say that I'm excited, and I was worried if it would, when you work with a bunch of younger folks, you go, well, it's either going to make me feel young or make me feel old. And so far, it's working in the positive direction. So I'm very pleased about that.
Well, I have a burning question. Are you going to sing in this? I would love to hear you sing Chilla Macreda. I love that. I'd love to.
That's very kind of you to ask, and I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, excellent!
Brilliant. Yeah, because I think we all want to hear that again. But I have a friend, Lorraine, and she's been texting me and saying, "Oh my God, tell him that I love him so much."
Oh, thank you.
And so you're getting a lot of love here, as you would expect, for multiple roles, not just Star Trek, but
absolutely,
for other things you've done. It's been a very prolific career. So
we have a winner. Mike DeBruyne, he came up with the answer first, which is, of course, Jane Seymour, who played Mrs. Genevieve Teague. And, of course, Jane Seymour has this connection to playing the character Serena in the original Battlestar Galactica from 1978.
Wow.
And so it's just so odd how we make these connections. Not to mention Lorette Spang is another one of our very kind and good friends that we were able to publish a work with, courtesy of BBV Productions and Dr. Chris McCauley. So Bob, you're doing so many things. I quickly jumped on your website. You have, I mean, you're actively involved in promoting all kinds of fandom, and you know, all the talent and all the stuff that you do, which we love your work. You know that, and you should know that. You know, this is a Star Trek sci-fi friendly location that your platform that you're on, and I mean, how do you juggle all of these? You know, you do the cruises, you do the conventions, you do all that stuff. How do you you know balance all this?
Well, I think part of what has always helped me make sense out of the personal appearances are great, and they're obviously remunerative, and we get a lot of love and adulation. But I have really, for more than 25 years, I've used the opportunity of the personal appearances to help spread the message of the nonprofit that I've worked with a long time, called the Planetary Society, which was co-founded by Carl Sagan in 1980. So we're coming up on our 45th anniversary next year. Presently, our CEO is Bill Nye, the Science Guy, and basically we are the world's leading space advocacy nonprofit. So what I tell Star Trek fans is, if you love space and you want to be part of an international community of people who feel the same way you do, then you should check out the Planetary Society. And I encourage your listeners to do that if they don't know about it at www.planetary.org. It's, first of all, an incredible resource for information about where we are in space, what missions are in progress, but also it's a way of having a voice as a regular citizen, a voice in the future of space exploration, which means we advocate directly to senators and congresspeople. I've been in the room myself. Certainly Bill Nye goes every year. We have Advocacy Week. And when I can be there in person, and Bill is there even more than I am, we'll meet with representatives, members of Congress and senators and their key staffers, and basically talk about the importance not only of increased funding for NASA, but in times of financial cutbacks, to not, there's a very long horizon in a space mission, that there's a long planning stage, and then and often the mission itself has a very long horizon for whatever that craft is, and how long it could go on if you continue to fund it. Look at Voyager 1 and 2 that are still sending, we're still getting data from one of the Voyagers, and even now, even though it's passed out of our solar system. So it's so important that when we have a change of administration, to not, as a knee-jerk reaction, go, well, we're going to cut this and we're going to cut that. We've invested millions in that program, but we're going to pull the plug on that and do this instead. You really, really have to keep the public engaged and interested in space exploration, so that they will speak up to their own members of Congress and say, no, we need to keep supporting Mars sample return. We've got all those cool samples that our rovers have gathered on Mars and encapsulated and left on the surface. Now we got to go get them, and we got to bring them back, and we got to look at them. What's the point of gathering all this cool stuff if we're not going to get the maximum benefit of studying it and all that we can learn about the history of the planet, and whether or not there was ever any life on Mars, even just microbial life? Because we all know that if there's evidence of prior water, it's highly likely that there's going to be some evidence of life that once existed, and who knows, might still exist below the surface of the planet. We don't know. So the moment we discover evidence of life outside of our own planet, even microbial life, it will change fundamentally the way everyone thinks about themselves, about our being alone, the only, that life exists beyond our planet. And that's something that our leader, Bill Nye, says all the time. There'll be a fundamental change in the way everyone sees themselves once we get that first discovery of life off our planet, and I believe it will happen during my lifetime. And that's one of the reasons I worked so long and so loyally with Planetary Society.
I think it will bring us all closer together. I think it will be something that will, my particular discipline, I'm a writer, but in my particular discipline is a theologian. And that's why I find all of this fascinating, the cosmos. And I think when we realize that the universe is a lot bigger than we realize, we'll start to come together a lot more. And maybe perhaps look after each other a lot more. I think that's the central message for good positive science fiction. I have a friend who is a big supporter of IFB and who, again, loves you, Bob. This is a real Bob love in here. And he's asked me, it's a chap called Ian Elliott. He's back in my home in Ireland, and he's asking, is there a character that you haven't done before yet, or you would like to explore? Maybe in sci-fi, but maybe not in sci-fi.
Well, one of my mentors in my life, my high school English teacher, who had the unexpected name of Shakespeare. His name was actually Ted Shakespeare. In fact, he traced back a family lineage. He was an extraordinary man, a Quaker. He had been a medic at the very end of the Second World War. So he was a conscientious objector, a Quaker, and his arm was shattered when he was running across a battlefield trying to administer care to a wounded soldier. So when I knew him in the 60s, when I was a young student, he had a hook. He had the best artificial prosthesis he could get at the time was a hook. He was kind of scary, and then as you got to know him, not scary at all, and a very inspirational man. He was the one who encouraged my acting I just did it because I thought it was funny to be in a comedy and get laughs, but he kept pushing me to play larger roles and to finally play a dramatic role senior year. So he recognized something in me. And he always wanted me to play Macbeth, which I'm way too old to do now. So I waited. I've done Shakespeare only in my training, never professionally. So that would be, I kind of feel bad about that I've never done it professionally. So that would be something.
I'd personally love to see you in Waiting for Godot, the Beckett play. I'd love to see.
I think that would be great. I'd love to see myself and Ethan Phillips in that. That would be a lot of fun to do that. I've done quite a bit of theater, and even recently I work with a theater group in the Bay Area, and it's kind of like a private group. We often just perform for each other.
Yeah.
Because it's a large group, they're not necessarily open to the public. Sometimes we have expanded performances, but I do it mostly to keep my skills up, and because it reminds me, when you do something just for love and not for money, it really reminds you why you set out on your life journey to begin with. Acting was just fun. It was something to do in high school because I wasn't good at sports, and it was a way to meet the girls from the nearby girls' school because they were in the play with us. So it started out as just something I did kind of as a lark, and I liked more and more. And when I got to college, I was in a production that got a lot of attention, and I started to think about it very suddenly, about a possible career choice rather than just a hobby. And I've never regretted being an actor. I still love what I do. I look forward to going to work, and I feel very blessed that I've been able to have all these vicarious lives by playing different characters. And of course, when you work in the Star Trek franchise, and really in science fiction in general, they have very loyal fan bases. And I'm also gratified that there's a population of people around the world who enjoy watching me in Star Trek. And because they've had that enjoyment, they'll even follow me in different things. And when I'm in different kinds of shows, or when I'm doing a play, as I did a lot of theater when I was based in LA. My early career, I did a couple of leads on Broadway. Well, that was before anyone knew me from movies or television. So I feel very blessed that I've been able to make a life of it as an actor, and that I still love what I do. And then at the ripe old age of just about to turn 71, I've gotten a new television series. It's, it's a pretty great thing.
I love June Fairhaven. I love that episode, and it was almost like EMH was a bit of an actor as well, and liked to act, and there was little element of that, and of course Fairhaven was an Irish village.
And you know what? I must tell you that I was in your country less than 2 weeks ago.
God bless you, sir.
I was at the Dublin Comic-Con the last weekend.
Oh, I heard about this. You had one of my. So I write this comic book called Dark Legacies with Claudia, and I think somebody came up and asked you if you'd be a part of that, or there were comments.
I don't remember that specifically, but the convention was a lot of fun. Yeah. Everyone was so kind and nice, and obviously the Guinness and the beer was great, and the Irish whiskey tour. And then after the convention, I made some new friends who drove my wife and I all the way around the Ring of Kerry and the Dingle Peninsula, and we went to the Cliffs of Moher, and sometimes it was overcast and gloomy, and other times we just had brilliant sunshine. So it was beautiful. Your country is just gorgeous.
I miss it a lot. I mean, I live in Canada. My wife's Canadian, kidnapped me here. I miss it an awful lot. And some of my writings about Irish poetry and Irish writers like Brennan Behan and all that. It's very hard to divorce the Irish from their country because the land is so. It's like Gone with the Wind. The land is so important to us. But yeah, it's. I'm glad you had a good time. That's great.
I had a really good time. Really good.
Now, how many swigs of Guinness did it take for you to get used to the tastes?
I have to tell you, I'm not a big Guinness fan. But I love the idea of it. I love the look of it. I love the head, the creamy head. I look at it, I go, oh, this is going to taste delicious. And then I taste it and I go, yeah, it's a little flat,
It takes I think it takes about 6 pints. It's usually about 6. Mark Hamill told me it took him about 6 or 7 pints whenever he was filming. And
I don't get me wrong. I enjoyed a good deal of lager there, and I am a fan of your Irish whiskey.
Great.
But I'm just not. Guinness. Even though I want to love it, and it's beautiful, and I love the nitrogenated head of it that's so creamy. So I started getting what was called, when you put a Guinness head on a regular lager, what is that called?
Well, that's a very Protestant. That's a very Protestant head because it's the collar, the clerical collar. So if you get a wide collar, it's a Protestant thing. If you get a narrow collar, it's a Catholic thing. You want to go. You want to go for the Catholic thing. That's when it tastes a lot better. That's the way we look at it. If I was poured a pint of Guinness and it had too high a head back home, I would say, well, that's a very Protestant looking pint. And they would take the pint and they would divest it of some of its head and minimise it, and there's a little Irish humour there, but it's very true. But yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, some of the pubs in Ireland, I'm kind of segueing a little bit, but some of the pubs in Ireland are very historical, and if you got to go around some of those in Dublin. It's fantastic. Gentlemen, I am afraid I'm going to have to go. I have an appointment, but this was a supreme pleasure to be able to chat to you, Mr. Picardo.
Thank you very much.
I will catch everybody later.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, Doc. We appreciate it, and we'll be in touch. Best of luck with your meetings. You're going to be meeting up with some VIPs. So be well and break a leg. Robert Picardo, we are grateful. To put it bluntly, we're just grateful that you took the time out. Thank you so much. I want to mention you have a short list of appearances. Let's go with Comic-Con London, Ontario from your website, September 17-18, which is obviously coming up.
No. This must be...
that was the one that passed, so I am looking at it.
No, I'm sorry. These could be very old. They may not have been updated.
You're right. Thank you. I quickly looked at the month. Tell us, is there any appearances that you
I honestly, because of my shooting schedule, I have some scheduled.
Okay.
That I may have to cancel. You see what I'm saying?
Priorities.
Producers very kindly let me keep the Dublin commitment because they started the show a little earlier. Excellent. And they cleared me for that. But I am supposed to be, and I hope to be, in San Antonio, Texas, the last weekend in October. And I'm contracted for that, but it will be subject to whether or not, I don't have my schedule for that. But presently, the only convention that I know I am definitely doing will be in Dortmund, Germany, in May of next year, the Dortmund Comic-Con, because I knew it was after our shooting season ended the first week in February. And of course, the amazing Star Trek The Cruise, which will be, February 23rd to March 2nd, 2025. And I have to tell you, the Star Trek cruise, embarrassingly, is huge fun for me. You would think that as an actor who's been on 7 Star Trek cruises, the bloom would be off the rose, but it is not the case. I look forward to it every year. I see all of my colleagues. We all perform like crazy. The fans love it. So the Star Trek The Cruise is really a great deal of fun. Even my wife has a hoot every year doing it. So, and my wife loves me. She's not the biggest Star Trek fan, but she's a pretty loyal Star Trek fan. Okay. But I cannot recommend Star Trek The Cruise, or I don't think I've ever met anyone who took it and did not love it.
Fantastic. So, Robert Picardo on IFB, thank you so much. Lorette Spang, thank you so much. Thank everyone, all our guests that were on here, but especially since you ran over from the actual studio and took the time out to share some of your insights and background. We truly thank you. I
still have my makeup on, guys. I have to clean my makeup.
We couldn't tell.
Thank you. We're looking forward to the series when it finally does air. We love all your work. We're Star Trek fans. We actually have a special place in our hearts for your character and the things that you do. Tipsy Toaster, do you have any last thoughts? No,
I don't want to talk too much because I've got an echo really bad. I got to get it fixed, but we're very happy that you're here. Thank you so much. I hope we can get you back on again. I know you're been working really hard, and everybody's working really hard on the set. So we'll let you go and let you get some rest for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Break a leg. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
The last toast of the night is to you. Live long and prosper.
Thank you.
All the best. Oh boy. Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Robert Picardo on IFB Interfleet Broadcasting. That's incredible. And prior to that, we had visual effects supervisor that worked on all kinds of Star Trek episodes, including Voyager and the like. And Battlestar Galactica, we had so many stories. Robert Bonchune, and we have a winner. Right, so Mike DeBrune, you're getting the code for advanced play on. We'll find out what the platform is, but you're going to get the code to do a download to be able to play the new Space Marine 2 game. And thank you for that. And that's courtesy of Dr. Chris McCauley, who was an advanced tester. And you guys, if you watched our last episode, we got to see some of it up, and he explained and talked about it. He did a professional review of the game, Dr. McCauley did. And so Mike DeBrune, that's coming your way. Thank you very much. The answer, of course, was Jane Seymour, who was Serena in the original Battlestar Galactica. So we made a connection, right, with Robert Picardo, who is, of course, famous Star Trek character for many, many years now, and beloved by the fans. But he was in Smallville, and his character, Edward Teague, was the spouse of Jane Seymour's character. And so it's a deep cut. And credit to my son Andrew for coming up with that prior to us going on air. He came up to mention it because he's a big Smallville fan. And so I was like, oh, I think that's good. So I pitched that to Dr. McCauley, and there you go. I'm blown away, Tipsy Toaster. We're working with new technology. We're putting
It's a challenge.
together. It's a challenge, right? Because we're not doing it the normal way.
Yep.
We're working with two separate platforms to try to make sure that we can work within our bandwidth and make sure that we don't have the skips and bumps that we've been having with just using one platform. So we were forced to experiment a little bit. I think, given a couple more episodes, we're going to be okay, and we'll get all the rest of the kinks out of it.
I think the only biggest problem is me echoing. That's all.
Okay, so that's something that we can work on. We've overcome that.
Nobody wants to hear me talk anyway, so we're good.
That's not true. But again, happy birthday, Chris, and thank you very, very much for convincing me 4 years ago that IFB Interfleet Broadcasting as a streaming live show was worth it, not only for us, but that maybe we would have the potential of giving something back to the fans. And I think we have accomplished that, and we are now looking forward towards our 5th year of live streaming, not to mention all the coverage that we've done at conventions and the like. We've done a lot of other extra.
And we froze a little bit. This is one of the reasons why we're working on it. Hang on, Pete will be back in a second. And there he is.
So there we are. I was saying that we've branched off. We've done a lot of things. We've been working, just a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and a lot of it you've come up with. We are very, very excited to share that the Stranded Warrior, our fan film, is done. The trailer alone has won several awards, and we're very, very proud as a showcase. Everybody that's involved directly and indirectly, we are happy that we are pushing the Battlestar Galactica idea, the story and what it represents, the visuals and the like are going out around the world in the form of our Stranded Warrior. So we're giving something back, I believe, and we're having a good time at it. It's a lot of hard work. So our CG team, Chris Marshall and Chuck Davenport, are tip of the spear. Chris Moore, Tipsy Toaster, has been doing a lot of the editing hands-on himself. And of course, Dorian Keyes, sci-fi winning author, award-winning author. He has a music inclination. He's actually tremendously good. One of the reasons, one of the pieces of the puzzle that made our trailer so good is, of course, the original soundtrack that he's doing, and he's working on the actual music for the regular, for the film that we're doing, that we're going to be releasing. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. It's a lot of fun to see that, a lot of you are tuning in. Like we said earlier, up to like almost 40,000 of you watch this later. Thank you for watching, everybody, and thank you for being fans, of Galactica, of Star Trek, of all sci-fi and all the adjacent genres, whether it be, horror or whatever it may be. Thank you for supporting all, including, IFB and everything else. I saved one last thing for last, and I got a couple of these packets. And these packets hold, right? They have iron-ons,
Oh yeah.
This was sealed, and this is
sparkly
an
iron-ons.
original.
I remember those.
Yeah. So I never saw these back in '78. These are Red Barn.
Yep.
And
I remember going to the
have a
Red Barn.
right? We didn't have a Red Barn, but this is a set, and I'm not sure if this is specifically affiliated with this this restaurant, but these are iron-ons, and it's hard to make out, but this is the one with Boxy and Muffet, and this is, of course, Battlestar Galactica and the Vipers, and on the back of them, you'll see that it's all Red Barn.
25% off Super Salad.
And here's another. This is a cool one. Let me see. You guys can't see. Let's see. No, unfortunately, you can't really make that out, but that's the Battlestar Galactica poster. And there's another one. This would be your favorite if you could really see it. This is the Cylon, and this is the cover to the soundtrack, the official soundtrack. And you can barely kind of make that out, but these are pristine. These are in mint condition, have never been taken out of that plastic. So I got a set here. I bought these all in a lot, and I want to share how cool that was here on air with all of you. And again, happy birthday to Tipsy Toaster, my good friend Chris Moore.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for convincing me to do IFB.
Don't forget to tell them about the 17th.
Yeah. So, guys, please tune in on September 17th. We have our 3-hour marathon, and so you're getting an advanced. Say again?
You said 12 wrong.
It's September 17th, and what is we got a time? What was the time that we set? 6, I think.
6, I believe.
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, and we're going to run for 3 hours. So it's the
12
17th
hours, yes, correct.
Yep, it's 3 hours.
12 hours is correct, yes.
3 hours. Nice try. That's all I could say. But it's a 3-hour marathon. It's our
3-hour tour.
That's right. It's the first episode, kickoff to our 5th season. It's on the 17th because that is when classic Battlestar Galactica debuted on September 17th. And we have 2 confirmed. Actually, we have 3 confirmed guests.
Yes.
We have Eric Larson will be with us. Lorette Spang will be with us, and I believe that Jack Stauffer has confirmed, and he will be with us as well. So guys, please, those of you that are watching this, those of you that are with us now, and those that watch this afterwards, please go to IFB if you're interested in getting a private, personalized signature from Jack Stauffer. We pitched it to him. And we are, we got to get a few more numbers to show Jack that, yes, this is viable. So if you guys want a personalized autograph, we're going to have 3 choices, 3 different pictures to choose from. It's going to be very, very competitive and reasonable, and we'll be publishing soon. It's going to be very reasonable, and the bulk of what we make is going directly to Jack. There it is. That's one of the choices, and we're going to label them, A, B, or C, but that's definitely one of them. The other one I know is one of them that's very very dear to Jack, and that I believe is the one with him holding. Yep, it's going to be either that one or the one with the 2 lasers.
This is the 2 lasers.
Is it? I can't see it too well. Okay, it's shiny. That is the one. So there's
this was never in the movies, or in the show.
Yes.
So he was able to get a hold of the slide to do this.
Yep.
It was a promotional photo shoot.
That's number 2, and then we will be picking a 3rd one. So everybody gets a choice of, it'll be A, B, or C, and it'll be personalized.
Or you can buy all 3 if you want.
Yeah, you could. I know some of you have already mentioned that you will be. I will be getting more than one myself. So I need you guys to go to IFB. I need you to go, and I put a poll up. So please click.
And we just need to know, first of all, how many people are interested.
Yep.
And then after that, we'll start working on costs and everything else. I mean, it's not going to be more than It depends on shipping, I guess, would be.
Well, shipping right now we're looking at shipping is approximately $10.
Yeah.
And I mean we
Flat
pretty
rate,
much have a price, right? So
he's given me an idea of the price, so we can. I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to mess it up here,
yet.
so we don't want to make the commitment, but it's less than 75 and more than 10.
Yes. So we want this to be as reasonable as possible, and competitive to anything that's out there right now. And so we're gonna work all that out.
Yep.
Jack wanted to see some of the interest. That's what he was very concerned about. He believed that everybody that wants his autograph has already gotten it, and that this is really just a fanciful thing. But he was going along with it. So if you're interested,
he's not going to any more cons.
No, he's not doing any more of these. So if you want to get his autograph, say you're interested in it. Give us the heads up. Let's get a head count on who's interested, and then after that, we'll be able to then publish the official price. And the bulk of whatever that price may be, you need to know is definitely going directly to Jack Stauffer.
We're not looking to make
for us.
This is not money. It's not a money making.
No, this
not
is
for us. No.
Yeah, we don't want to be losing money on any on this endeavor. So we're going to cover it all, but the vast majority of what comes in is definitely going to go to Jack Stauffer, because that's the whole point of this. But it's also cool that we get. We want his autograph. I don't have his autograph. I'd like to have his autograph. So
and he's going to be coming on the 17th, and he's talked about coming on a number of times afterwards to talk about his career and those kind of things. So I think it'll be a good partnership, and it's good to get him up and talking. He, as he always says, is once you get an old actor started, you can't get him to can't get him to shut him up. So. It's great when we do get to talk to him, and we feel that I think the fans would love to hear from him as well. And he's agreed to at least come on the 17th, and then maybe do some things afterwards. So it's exciting. I mean, it's somebody who we don't always get to meet somewhere. We're not going to get to meet anywhere unless you go to LA and go knock on his door. And don't do that. That's kind of creepy.
Mike DeBrune asked us about the quiz book. So the quiz book, I'm looking
still
to
working.
See where my mock-up is. I have a mock-up of the cover. You can get the enhanced e-copy through BBV Productions. That's our publisher in the UK. However, it's going to Amazon in a couple of weeks. So we'll keep you posted. And then you can just go to Amazon. Same thing. You can get the ebook, or when it hits Amazon, you can actually get the paperback copy of the quiz book. And it has, of course, a forward by Lorette Spang Cassiopeia, and then it's got all kinds of trivia. We worked very, very hard on the classic Battlestar Galactica trivia part of it. And then we contributed to a little bit of the 2004, and then Dr. McCauley took the bulk of the reimagined. However, we participated in the Caprica part, and some of the other questions we did participate, because Tipsy and I did watch all of it. We watched the 2004 as well, but I'm taking great pride in the work that we did with Lorette to do her questions, right? So she put together this one section of Cassiopeia questions, plus all the others that we did, hundreds of them. And there's some really cool illustrations that went along with this that are peppered throughout the book. And
Lorette's the reason why we had Mr. Picardo here tonight. So
yeah,
she's amazing.
Lorette, thank you. Absolutely. So Lola says, gotta have it. It's pretty cool. I think you have a fun time. I made a crossword puzzle, and a word seek is also, and that's all classic related. A lot of fun, right? So I think you guys will get a kick out of that. I had a blast making it. So putting it together, and some of the trivia questions, they're meant to be informative. So there's stuff in there that was researched, and there's things that very few of you will get right because it's really deep cut trivia that in some cases I put together, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Chuck, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and again, happy birthday, Tipsy Toaster. Thank you for
soon to be happy birthday, Battlestar Galactica.
This is true too, but thank you for going out of the way tonight. You were handling two separate platforms to make tonight happen. Thank you very much for doing that. Much appreciated. Thank you to everybody involved above the line, below the line of the Stranded Warrior. Thank you everybody, and stay tuned because there's more info coming, and it's looking really, really good. I'm very proud of the work that's going into the Stranded Warrior.
Yeah, Chuck, if you're on, that last thing you sent just gave me chills. So.
Was phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Oh, yes. Thank you for tuning in. We love having you on board. Keep clicking the thumbs up and subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about our show. Bring them on. Thank you to everybody that tuned in here live. We look forward to having you with us on September 17 at 6 o'clock Eastern Time for our marathon and our kickoff of our new 5th season, 5 years, going into our 5th year of IFB Interfleet Broadcasting. Thank you, everybody. Happy birthday, Tipsy Toaster.
Thank you.
And here's to you guys.
Yep. Fans feel the fleet.
Fans feel the fleet.